What actually counts as cheating? This is a topic and a question that a lot of people have opinions on, a lot of differing opinions, but not many people actually sit down to talk about, right? If I was to go ask 10 different people what counts as cheating, I would probably receive 10 completely different answers. Some people think that cheating only starts after something physical happens. Other people think that emotional cheating is even worse than physical cheating. Some people think watching explicit content online counts. Some people think that liking another woman's Instagram photo counts. Everybody has a different definition of what they would qualify as cheating. And that's why so many relationships end over this conversation. One person says, I didn't cheat. And the other says, you absolutely cheated. And both of them genuinely believe that they are right. So the problem here isn't, is one person lying or is the other person lying? The problem is that they never had a conversation from the start on where that line is. They never had a conversation on what is cheating, what is the line, what is the boundary in this relationship in the first place. So today we have 5 things that count as cheating. We're going to go through a few different ones, and we're going to get a little bit more into detail. I had a shorter form video that I posted about this that did millions and millions of views. Hundreds of thousands of likes, hundreds of thousands of shares, thousands of comments. This was a hot topic over on Instagram. So I only thought it was fair to bring it over to office hours, and we can extrapolate a little bit on what each of these 5 things actually entail. So everyone talks about the end, no one talks about the start. And I think that we have become obsessed with the final act, sleeping with somebody else, kissing somebody else. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of cheating. But here's my question for you. Do you really think that a healthy relationship goes from being perfectly healthy on Monday to someone is sleeping in someone else's bed on Friday? Of course not. That sounds ridiculous because that's not how it happens. Cheating doesn't start with one big terrible decision. Cheating starts from 100 little terrible decisions. It starts with conversations that didn't need to happen. It starts with attention that shouldn't have been entertained in the first place. It starts with boundaries that they get pushed a little further, testing that line week by week. And by the time something actually happens that is big and very, very detrimental to the relationship, the damage has already been done. Because something about relationships, every good relationship is built on trust, okay? And trust is not lost overnight. You don't just wake up one day when everything's been great, you wake up the next day, definitely don't trust her anymore. That's not how it works. I've always believed that trust works a little bit more like a bank account. Every good decision that you make, that's a little more trust that gets deposited into the bank account. Keeping your word, being honest, respecting boundaries, protecting your relationship. All of those things are deposits into the trust bank. But now, every questionable decision, that's a withdrawal. Maybe answering that DM didn't ruin your relationship. Maybe accepting that drink from another guy at the bar didn't ruin your relationship. Maybe giving your ex a little bit more attention than you should have didn't ruin your relationship. One decision isn't usually what breaks trust. Can it? Absolutely, if it's big enough. But the loss of trust in a relationship usually comes from when your partner is now looking at you and they're sitting here thinking, after they've seen and they've looked at all of these little withdrawals that you've been making over time, they're like, you know what? I don't think this person is really protecting our relationship anymore. In that moment right there, that's when relationships start falling apart. Which brings me to the worst question. The worst question that people like to ask is, does this technically count as cheating? Like, oh, I didn't technically cheat. And unfortunately, I think by asking that question, your relationship is doomed from that point forward. Because if the goal is to figure out how close you can come to cheating without it technically counting, you are not in a good spot. You are already playing the wrong motherfucking game. Because healthy relationships are not built on fucking technicalities. Healthy relationships are built on trust. So instead of asking yourself, can I get away with this? Or is this technically crossing the line? Instead of trying to figure out how close to that line you could get, you should be asking yourself, if my partner was here right now, sitting right across from me, and they were to watch me do this, would this make them trust me more or less? By simply asking yourself that question, you can determine whether you should continue in action or not. Because if the answer is that they're going to trust you less, you probably shouldn't be fucking doing it. I can make it extremely simple for all of you out there that are confused what you should and shouldn't be doing in a relationship. So that question right there changes everything. Because now it's no longer about what you can try and justify. It's about what you're trying to protect. When you're in a relationship, all of the actions that you take throughout daily life, or when you go to events, or when you go on a night out, should be in the best interest of your relationship. That's the whole point of being it. You should be trying to protect the thing that you have formed with another person. Not, how can I test the line? How can I test it so that they don't get mad? How can I test it so that it doesn't fall apart? If that's the game you're playing, you are destined for failure from the motherfucking start. Now, my philosophy. Now, before we get into my list, 5 things that count as cheating, I want to make one thing extremely clear. I am not sitting here acting like my opinion is the law. Every relationship has different boundaries. Some couples have things that they are okay with in their relationship that other couples would never tolerate. And that is completely up to them. This is not me sitting here telling you what it is that your relationship should look like. This is simply just the philosophy that I personally would use if I was trying to build a healthy relationship that would actually last. I don't personally think that cheating starts when you sleep with somebody else outside of your relationship. I think that cheating starts when you start inviting somebody into spaces that should have remained exclusive to the relationship that you're in. It should have remained exclusive between the two people inside the relationship. So that's my philosophy right there. And every single thing that we're going to talk about in this video comes back to that one framework and idea right there. So, let's start with number 5. And I have a feeling that this one's probably going to piss some people off. And I have a feeling that the 4 that follow that are probably going to piss some people off. And I would like to preface that with saying, I don't give a fuck. So I'm glad we could make that clear before we get started. Number 5, answering DMs. And now, before the people watching this video jump off of here and they're like, oh, he's so insecure. That's such an insecure thing to say. Let me explain what I actually mean. Because when people hear things like this, they automatically jump to like the most fucking extreme conclusion that they can think of. Like, oh, if your mother, what if my cousin DMs me and I answer, is that cheating? No, it's not fucking cheating. So you're going to have to use your brain. You're going to have to use some of those critical thinking skills that you may or may not possess to really comprehend what we're going to be talking about in this video here. I am not talking about your aunt wishing you fucking happy birthday. I am not talking about somebody asking you where you bought your fucking hat from or where you bought your shoes from. I'm specifically talking about random people who are trying to get your attention. Because let's be honest, most strangers are not sliding into a woman's DMs to get fucking directions to the nearest grocery store. They're not looking to get directions to where the nearest Starbucks is. They're there because they're interested. And if you live in reality and you don't want to live in the world of delusion, like most women do, you understand this. No man is in your fucking DMs because he just wants to learn so much about your personality. He's never met you. He's in your DMs because of the pictures that you've posted, and now he's interested in you. Nothing more, nothing less. My boy's trying to hit. So, this leads me to a very important point. It's not the message, it's the access. And I think this is where most people completely miss the point. Because everybody likes to get hung up on what was said. Oh, it wasn't flirting. It was just one message. I was just saying thank you. Okay, maybe it wasn't flirting. But I don't think the message or the contents of that message are the problem. The access to you is the problem. The moment your woman responds to a DM from anybody, she has just communicated to that person that you can reach me. You have access to my attention and my time. And that moment right there changes everything, because before that moment, there was no relationship. Before your woman ever answered, there was no relationship with the other person on the other end of that message. But now, since she answered, that's a conversation. And every conversation has potential to lead to another conversation. And believe it or not, every relationship starts with a conversation. Whether it's a sexual relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's simply a friendship, every relationship that you have in your life started with a conversation. Nobody wakes up one day and says, you know what? Kind of bored. It's only Wednesday. I think I'm just going to ruin my relationship today. Nobody does that. It starts much smaller than that. Don't you get it? One conversation turns into talking every day. Talking every day turns into sending each other memes. Then those people are venting to each other. Then those people are saying things that they haven't even said to their partner. They're disclosing things to this other person, confiding in them, things that they would never divulge to their partner. And then by the time they even realize, by the time they even pick their head up to look at the playing field and look at the big picture, to realize that an emotional connection has been established, they've already been building that connection for weeks or months now. And that's why, when it pertains to cheating, I don't look at the end of the story. I look at the beginning. How did we get here? Yeah, your girl fucked another dude. Why? Where did that come from? Because your girl didn't wake up one day and say, you know what? I can't stand Jimmy anymore. I'm going to go fuck Ryan. That's not how it works. There's a series of events, a slow bleed that leads up to most cheating opportunities. And especially when it comes to answering DMs, I'm sure any of you that have had a conversation or an argument with your woman about this, they've probably said something like, I'm just being nice. He gave me a compliment. He's just a really nice guy, and I'm just being nice. What? I wouldn't want to be mean. And honestly, as long as your woman is not some sort of serial cheater, I actually believe most people when they say that. I don't think that most women answer a DM with the intent of cheating on their partner. But here's the problem. Your intentions do not control somebody else's intentions. You may just be saying thank you. You may just be like, hey, thanks, appreciate it. But the person on the other end is probably sitting there like, all right, she answered, green light. Now I can keep trying. Now I can keep taking shots. And you as a man, why would you be allowing any other man to take shots at your woman? Explain that to me. Because here's what most of you don't understand. You don't have to be participating in the game to accidentally end up playing it. Just by saying thank you, just by answering that DM, you're in the mix now. You're in the game whether you like it or not. So here's something that you all need to ask yourselves. If your man or your woman was standing right next to you as every message came in, would you answer it? And not because your partner would get mad, and not because you're scared of their reaction, but because you know it serves absolutely no purpose to be answering that message in the first place. Because believe it or not, a lot of relationships become extremely simple when you stop asking yourself, can I do this? And you start asking yourself, why do I even want to? What exactly would your woman be gaining from opening a conversation with somebody who's clearly trying to become an option? Because for me, and for my woman, the answer is nothing. Answering a DM, there's no gain, unless there's an ulterior motive. There's absolutely no gain, and that's why the door stays closed. And speaking about people trying to become an option, let's talk a little bit about something that most people decide to ignore. They think it doesn't have much meaning. And that is, number 4, accepting drinks from other men. And I know exactly what some of you are thinking. Oh, it's just a drink. Oh, what do you mean then I don't have to pay for it? Ha ha ha. Yeah, if she gets free drinks, it's fine, then I don't got to pay for it. Or the women will say, no, it's just a drink, it doesn't mean anything. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even talk to him. I just got the drink and walked away. And okay, if that's true, let me ask you something. If it really is just a drink, why did he buy it for you instead of the guy standing next to you? Seriously, I want you to think about that. If there's fucking 200 people standing in a bar, why did he buy a drink for you? You know, this guy didn't randomly just become the most generous person in America for tonight. He didn't just decide, like, you know what? I'm just going to pick a random person and I'm going to buy them a drink out of the kindness of my heart. No, that's not what happened. The man buys a woman a drink because he's trying to gain something from it. Which leads me to my next point. Men don't buy drinks for no reason. Listen, I've been a guy my entire life. I've been friends with guys my entire life. I've been to bars. I've been to clubs. I've been out in virtually fucking every city. And never once have I been with a friend, or any guy for that matter, that walked across the bar, spent $20 on a drink for a complete stranger, and he came back and he said, you know what? I didn't even want anything from that. I really just wanted to contribute to her hydration for tonight. Never once. Has never happened. In all of my years on this planet, has never happened. Because that's not how guys think. Now, does that mean that every guy who ever buys a woman a drink is trying to go home with her? No. But almost every guy is hoping for something. Whether that's a phone number, whether that's a kiss, whether that's an Instagram, whether that's a conversation, whether that's just her attention at all. Some guys, they don't get no bitches. They just need attention from anybody. But we need to stop pretending that the drink is just some random act of kindness. The drink is an introduction. You need to start thinking of the drink as an introduction, because you are not accepting the drink, you're accepting the invitation. And that's why I think a lot of people focus on the wrong thing, because they'll say, oh, it's just a drink, it's just alcohol, it doesn't matter. No. The drink costs fucking $10. He's not paying for a drink, he's paying for an opportunity. If he wanted to just pay for a drink, he'd go get himself a drink. The guy buying you a drink is hoping that by buying that drink for you, that maybe he'll get 5 minutes of your attention. And maybe nothing happens. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe you say thank you, you take the drink, and you walk away. But what you didn't realize is you've still accepted exactly what he was offering. And that's his attention. And that's what I think people miss. So, the obvious thing to do here is flip the roles. And this is really for the ladies and the guys to understand. We can both look at this from each perspective. Imagine you're out and a beautiful woman comes up to you and you decide to go buy her a drink. And now she starts talking to you, she's laughing at your jokes, she's fiddling with her hair, she's touching your arm, you guys are having a good time, she compliments what you're wearing, and you get home later that night and you're telling your girlfriend about how you just bought a drink for this girl. And she's like, what do you mean you bought a drink for another woman? No, relax, it was just a drink. It doesn't matter. She was just being nice. I was just being nice. Do you honestly think that that's going to make her feel better? Or if you're a woman watching this, do you think that that's going to make you feel better, knowing your man bought another woman a drink? Because that's the flipped role of you accepting a drink from another man. Or do you think your woman is going to realize exactly what that woman was trying to do? You know, if we wouldn't be comfortable for the flipped role happening to us, why are we so quick to justify when we're the one receiving the attention? If you're a woman and you would not be comfortable with your man going out and buying another woman a drink, why are you so quick to justify when a man wants to come give you a drink? Explain that to me. Why is it okay when you're the one receiving the attention? Because I would say both are wrong. How about that? Now what? Both are wrong. If you're in a relationship, you should not be buying another woman a drink. If you're in a relationship, you should not be receiving drinks from another man. Simple. And as you mature, and as you grow up, and when I say mature and grow up, that doesn't mean age. Because I know a whole lot of fucking adult children. There's a whole bunch of men and women that are 35, 40, 45 that act like motherfucking children. Okay? Age is just a number here. Has nothing to do with maturity and has nothing to do with growing up. But when you grow up and when you mature, you will realize that respect is proactive. And I really think that this is what this entire episode is actually about. People keep asking, what is technically allowed in a relationship? What can I technically do? But I don't think that healthy relationships are built that way. Healthy relationships are built by asking yourself, what decisions that I make will make it much easier for my partner to trust me? That's how healthy relationships are built. Because here's the truth. You can absolutely go accept a drink. Nobody is stopping you. Just like you can answer the DM, just like you can text an ex, just like you can post a thirst trap. So the question here is not whether you can or can't do something. The question is, why would you want to go and do something that doesn't bring absolutely anything positive to your relationship? Why would you choose to create a situation that brings negativity towards the relationship that you're in? I've always believed that respect is proactive. You don't wait until your partner feels uncomfortable to then fix something. You make decisions that prevent that from ever happening in the first place. And speaking of creating situations, let's talk about one that most people try to justify more than anything else. And that is hanging out with other men one-on-one, number 3. And this one's probably the one that I get the most pushback on. Because I do not believe that if you are in a committed relationship, that you should be hanging out one-on-one with somebody of the opposite sex that is a legitimate sexual option ever. And you'll notice what I said here. I'm not saying that you can't have acquaintances, people that you know, that you're familiar with, and if you see them, you say, hi, what's up, how you doing? Cool, no problem there. I didn't say that you need to cut everybody out of your life the second you get into a relationship. That's not my argument. My argument is much simpler than that. Friendship isn't the issue, exclusivity is. And I think healthy relationships are built around exclusivity, and not just physical exclusivity, but emotional exclusivity. Your time, your energy, your attention, those things all matter too. When you're dating somebody, certain experiences are supposed to belong primarily to the two of you. Going to dinner, late night conversations, talking about your problems, spending intentional one-on-one time together. Those are the things that create closeness. So when you start consistently doing those things with somebody else, you are starting to build another relationship. And maybe it's not a romantic one at the start, but you are absolutely building intimacy. And one thing the ladies love to say, and I got a laundry list of these ones, right? He's just a friend. Oh, no, he's like my brother. No, you don't get it. He's like my brother. We've known each other since we were 8. Oh yeah, he's like your brother? He's not your fucking brother, okay? Your parents didn't fuck and pop him out. And let's play devil's advocate here and say he's just a friend. Maybe he is. I'm not even going to argue with you here. Let's assume that in the absolute off chance that he is just the greatest guy in the world and he has absolutely no interest in you. He just wants to be your friend. My question is, why would this relationship ever need to be one-on-one? What is your woman getting from this friendship in a one-on-one setting that can't be had in a group setting? It really shouldn't be being had at all. Why would your woman ever need to go to dinner one-on-one with another man? Why would your woman ever need to go to drinks one-on-one with another man? Why would your woman ever need to go on a long car ride and have a deep conversation with another man? Nobody answers this question for me. And I think acquaintances are absolutely fine. We also need to justify what is a friend. A friend is somebody that you talk to and you enjoy the company of often. A friend is not somebody that you know from class, that if you saw him in public, you say, hey, how you doing? Oh, good. Yeah, I'm good too. That's an acquaintance. Have lots of acquaintances. People just like to mix the two together, right? I have lots of female acquaintances. I do not have lots of female friends. My girlfriend is my friend. My sister is my friend. My mom is my friend. The rest of my friends are my boys. I don't need female friends. For what? And it really simplifies your relationship when you go off of that kind of mindset. And the interesting thing about these friendships that you need to understand is people don't plan to cheat. They drift. Like I said previously, nobody wakes up one day and is just like, you know what? It's fucking Wednesday. I'm just going to go cheat today. Fuck it. That's not how it works. Maybe that's happened. It's not how it usually happens. People drift into cheating. It looks a little something like this. Say two people work together, they go and they grab lunch, they talk every day, they're at work. Then one day, they find themselves venting to each other about their relationships. Then they're giving you advice. Then they're telling you that you deserve better. And then this person knows more about your relationship than your own fucking partner does. And that's how these emotional affairs happen. Not because somebody planned it, but because slowly this other person started becoming the person that you lean on. And you as a man need to understand how this works, because you also need to understand that women and accountability mix like oil and water. If your woman was to go and do this, she wouldn't say that she's wrong. She would say that you weren't meeting her emotional needs. She would say that he just wasn't there for me. She wouldn't sit here and be like, wow, I actually fucked up because instead of taking my problems to the person that I'm in a relationship with, like a mature person does, and sitting down and talking through it and figuring out what is the solution so that our relationship can progress, I decided to go and talk to somebody that is outside of my relationship, and I fucked up. Women don't have that realization. They will justify bullshit to the end of the fucking earth. So you as a man need to understand that you can't be, there's no work husbands. There's no going out to lunch with people from work. None of that shit. She wants to go out with the girls from work, cool. She ain't going out with a fucking coworker one-on-one to have lunch or dinner or whatever. That's not, we don't play those games. Need to understand this, very important. Now, who are you building with? And I always come back to this one question. If you're putting your best conversations, your best energy, your emotional support, your one-on-one time, you're putting that into somebody that's outside of your relationship, who are you actually building with? Because relationships don't become stronger automatically. They're built over time. They're built through conversations. They're built through shared experiences. Every hour that you invest into somebody else that's outside of your relationship, that's an hour away that you could have been investing into the person that you said matters most. And I think that's what a lot of people forget. Every relationship in the world that you have is competing for your time. You, as a man, should not be competing with another man for your woman's emotional closeness. And that's not because you don't trust your partner, but just because you shouldn't fucking have to. You should never be sitting here competing with another guy over the time, energy, and attention of your woman. Ever. And speaking of attention, now it's time to move on to something that social media has convinced everybody is completely normal. But I think this concept has completely changed modern relationships. And that is number 2, posting thirst traps. Women love this one. A lot of women love this one. And posting thirst traps is probably one of the most controversial on this list. And before somebody sits here and tries to say, what, so women can't post pictures anymore? That's not what I'm saying. And if that's what you hear, you've already missed the fucking point. I'm not talking about posting a picture when you're at the beach. I'm not talking about posting a picture with your friends on a night out. I'm not talking about looking attractive. I actually want the person that I'm dating to feel confident. I want her to feel beautiful. I hope that my woman looks great. That's not the issue. The issue is why you're posting it, which begs a very important question. Who is this really for? And I think this is one of the healthiest questions that anybody in a relationship can ask themselves. Who is this really for? Seriously, before you post anything ever, ask yourself that question. Because if the answer is, I just wanted to remember this vacation, cool, no problem. Or I like this outfit, great. I've been working hard in the gym, cool, great, awesome. But if the answer is, I want people to tell me I'm hot, I want attention from other men, that's where the problem lies. Now we're having a different conversation. Because now the answer is no longer about memories, it's about validation. And again, women, they mix accountability like oil and water. So if a woman is to ask herself that question, she's going to gaslight herself into thinking, oh, no, I just want to remember the vacation. Meanwhile, the picture is this. Tits out, fucking ass out. No, I've just been working hard in the gym. See? That's not memories. That's not fucking admiring gym progress. That is soliciting attention from people that are not your boyfriend. That's exactly what that is. So none of that shit. All right? Real quick, if you've made it this far in the episode, this stuff clearly hits home for you. If you want help in your dating journey or your life journey and not just videos, that's exactly what I do inside the TZG Institute of Societal Change, which is my men's transformation program. Over the past few years, I have helped thousands of men through my content fix these exact problems, seeing the patterns, fixing what's actually broken, and becoming the man that the right woman wants to be with. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, I have put the application link down in the description of this video. I would love to work with you and be able to set you up for success. Back to the episode. Now, we're off on a little tangent there. Validation isn't free. And I think this is one of the biggest problems that social media has introduced into relationships is attention is very addictive. A woman can post a picture and she can have 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people tell her that she's beautiful. She'd post another one, another 500 people tell you she's beautiful. She can post another one and another 1,000 people tell her she's beautiful. And eventually what happens is your brain starts expecting it. And that right there is where it becomes dangerous, because when your confidence is now dependent on strangers telling you their opinion of you, your relationship stops becoming enough, stops being enough. Because no matter how great your boyfriend is, or no matter how great you are as a man, you can't compete with 5,000 people in a comment section. You can't compete with that dopamine rush. You can't compete with that high that your woman gets from posting her body on the internet and having strangers fondle all over her. Which is why there's a major difference between feeling attractive and attention seeking. Feeling attractive is healthy. Seeking attention is something that's completely different. They are not the same thing. One comes from confidence, the other comes from you constantly needing other people to tell you how attractive you are. And personally, I think that if your relationship is healthy, your partner should be your primary source of validation. Your partner's validation should be the only validation that you need, not thousands of strangers on social media that you've never met, wouldn't give a fuck if you died tomorrow. But that's just how hey, what do I know? Yeah, what the fuck do I know? That's just how I look at it. Now, commitment changes things. Because you know what I find interesting? Especially women, they say this fucking stupid shit. They'll always say, well, I've been posting pictures like this. I've always posted like this. If you can't handle a baddie, don't be with a baddie. I was posting these pictures when you met me. Exactly. You were single. You also used to probably flirt with other people. You also used to go on dates. You used to entertain attention from people that you found attractive. You were single. You do not act the same way in a relationship that you do when you're single. This is like such a foreign concept to women out there today. I don't know why. It's unbelievable to me that they can't grasp that you don't get to act the same way you do when you're single. You don't go on nights out and talk to other guys and do all of this shit when you're in a relationship with somebody. Seems like such a basic concept. Things are supposed to change when you enter a committed relationship. That's kind of the entire fucking point. If absolutely nothing about your behavior changes, then what did you even commit to? What did you even enter into if nothing changes? That's the whole point. So you need to ask yourself this, or your woman should be asking herself this. If you were to post a picture and she knew that thousands of women were just going to be fondling all over you, how would she feel? Would she be okay with it, or would she probably start to feel a little bit uncomfortable? Probably the latter. Because if you have a problem with your partner doing it, you should probably start to ask yourself, why is it okay when you do it? And now we get to the one that I don't even think is close. This is 100% the biggest one that counts as cheating. Because it's one thing when you're dealing with strangers, but it's a lot different when you already know the person. When you're dealing with somebody that you already have history with. And that's exactly why I think this last one is the biggest boundary on the list. Number one, any interaction with an ex. And now this one for me, it's not even close. This is by far the deserved number one spot. Because an ex is not starting from zero. They're picking up where they left off. They've already been there, they already know you. That's what makes them different. So, they already have history. And I think a lot of women like to treat an ex like it's just another person. It's not. A stranger has to earn your trust. An ex already had it. A stranger has to learn what makes you laugh. an ex already knows. A stranger has to learn what your insecurities are, an ex already knows exactly what they are. A stranger has to build chemistry with you, an ex already had it. That's what a lot of people underestimate. History creates familiarity. And familiarity is very, very fucking powerful, especially in a dating and a relationship sense. So with an ex, you don't start over, you pick up. And that's why I think that an ex is completely different, should obviously be completely different from any other person. Because with a stranger, you're starting from dead zero. You don't know this person, you don't know anything about them. The first conversation, the first joke, the first date, the first time opening up. But with an ex, you don't start over. You pick up where you left off. And maybe not immediately, maybe not after one text, but eventually, you're going to start to fall back into old patterns, old nicknames, old inside jokes, old memories. And that's why I don't think exes are just another friend. They're somebody who understands how to reconnect with you. And so something you should ask a woman, I mean, personally, I would never continue to be in a situation with a woman that was involved with her ex in any way, shape, or form anyway. But if you're a woman watching this, or if you're a man and you decide to stay in a situation like that, you should be asking the question, what are you even holding on to? If your ex texted you tonight, what are you hoping comes from that conversation? Because it doesn't matter what answer you give me to that question, your current relationship should be providing whatever that answer may be. Oh, we're just catching up. Why? For what? Well, we're still friends. Okay, why is that friendship more important than protecting the current relationship that you're in? And now there doesn't have to be bad blood. No. You can still wish somebody well without continuing to give them access to your life. Those are two completely different things. If I had an ex text me right now, they could text me, wow, I see you're doing so well and I wish you the best. I wouldn't even answer. Wouldn't even say thank you. Because what is answering, what do I get out of that? Nothing. Validation? I get validation from the woman that I'm with now. I don't need validation from an ex. And for you as a man, if you're with a woman and any man that she's been with in the past has the ability to get her attention and get access to her life through a message or through reaching out, that's a problem. The right answer is no fucking answer with an ex. So, you should be protecting your future and not your past. And I think one of the biggest signs that somebody is actually ready for a healthy relationship is that they're willing to let chapters from their past stay closed. And that's not because those people were bad. That's not because you guys hate each other. It's simply because you respect what you're building right now more than whatever it is that you had before. That's maturity. Not trying to sit here and string people along and keep them around just in case. Being willing to say, okay, that chapter was important. I'm grateful for it, but it's over. Forever. Your future relationship should never be competing with a past one. Because if I'm asking somebody to choose me, I think that they deserve the same thing from me. So if you're not over an ex, or if there's a chapter in your past that still has the ability to be open, you are not ready for a healthy relationship. There is no other way to put it. Until that chapter is officially closed, you will never, ever, ever have a healthy relationship. I promise. I so wholeheartedly promise you. So I think the best way to end this is trust isn't built by avoiding cheating. It's built by protecting it. And I think that that's the entire point of this conversation that we're having. This video was never about creating a universal definition for what cheating is or what cheating isn't. That wasn't the point of this video. Because the reality is, there is no universal definition. Every relationship is different. Every relationship has different standards. Every relationship has different boundaries, and that's okay. I'm not here to tell you what you should accept or not accept in your relationship. All my goal was with this video was to challenge how you think about those boundaries. Because too many people spend a whole hell of a lot more time than they should be asking themselves, would this technically be cheating? Would I technically be cheating on my partner if I do this? When really they should be asking themselves, if I go and do this, does this make my relationship stronger or weaker? If your goal is to build a relationship that actually lasts for a lifetime, for a long period of time, you gotta stop trying to figure out how close you can get to that line. Start asking yourself, what decisions make your partner feel safe? What decisions build trust? What decisions communicate respect? Because trust isn't something that you repair after it's broken. The healthiest relationships that I've seen are where both people spend every day protecting that relationship before it breaks. They are proactive about it. So thank you for coming to Office Hours today. This was a bit of a longer episode, but we're experimenting. We're seeing where shit goes. I hope you guys noticed that I introduced a plant, and I also introduced a lamp. Like I said, we're going to be improving things over here every single episode. We ain't going nowhere. So we're pushing 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you for coming and enjoying the episodes, engaging, like, comment, subscribe. Anything you do that supports the channel, I'm grateful for it. Thank you for coming to Office Hours today, and I'll see you at the next one.